Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kaila Amorin, the first reporter of Group 1. Our topic is all about development and use of non-digital or conventional materials. Why it is important to discuss this topic? It is important because they can significantly increase student achievement by supporting student learning. This process aids in the learning process by allowing the students to explore the knowledge independently as well as providing repetition. Instructional materials. Instructional materials are the supplementary materials which help the teacher to make his or her presentation concrete, effective, interesting, meaningful, and inspiring. Instructional materials are also known as teaching or learning materials, are any collections of materials including animate and inanimate objects and human and non-human resources that the teacher may use in teaching and learning situations to help achieve desired learning objectives. Instructional materials constitute alternative channels of communication which a teacher can use to convey more vividly instructional information to learners. They represent a range of materials which can be used to extend a range of vicarious experience of learners in a teaching-learning situation. So, what are some examples of instructional materials? Here it is. For example, the drawings, kits, textbooks, posters, magazines, flip charts, newspapers, diorama, pictures, and recording videos. And these following examples can be explained in my other co-group mates. Rules of instructional materials in teaching and learning. First, they promote meaningful communication and effective learning. This is vital for interactions with students because the act of teaching itself requires them. In your role, you are responsible for comprehending and breaking down complex information, conveying the information clearly to your students, both verbally and in written resources, presenting in a manner that sustains their attention, and listening to and resolving their questions or problems. Second, rules of instructional materials. They ensure better retention, thus making learning more permanent. It appeals to the individual attention by creating interest goals that will help the learner achieve direct effort. Teachers' problem of motivation is essentially one of arranging situations with instructional materials in which the learner will see goals he wants to attain. The third rules of instructional materials is they help to overcome the limited classroom by making the inaccessible accessible. It's about giving equal access and opportunities to everyone wherever possible. It is for students who need these features and accommodations. And the fourth and the fifth rules of instructional materials are they provide a common experience upon which late learning can be developed, and they encourage participation, especially if students are allowed to manipulate material used. Making learning meaningful is important to children's understanding of the learning concepts and the world around them. Teachers make learning meaningful when they link new learning to children's previous experience, relate concepts to children's lives, and provide children with hands-on learning.
Several factors to consider in developing instructional materials. It is necessary to consider several factors such as contrast, size, tactility, clarity, and description. Explore the possibility of adapting concepts of the other teachers without infringing on anyone's copy-protected design. And here, in my own perspectives, the important thing to consider in making instructional materials are the terminologies, words that will be used, It is very important to effectively transfer and relay the information across, and that can most of the time to be accomplished by using the correct terminologies. Using the simplest proper words can determine the effectiveness of the instructions. It is imperative to use common words that matches the world level understanding of the readers as well as to the listeners. Also, very important to develop a storyboard and working outline based on the subject goals and objectives. Second, we have to identify existing instructional materials, resources, including materials and teachers' capability. Third, we have the teachers may research off-the-shelf materials that have been developed by others to determine if their approach could be useful. We have also modified existing materials based on the objectives of the lesson. We have also, if the instructional materials are effective, you can share with them with other teachers. And lastly, the teacher's developer can also sell his materials available.
So, good afternoon everyone. My name is Francine Ann Arcabal, and I am tasked to discuss about conventional instructional materials. So, the first one is the diorama. Dioramas are a replica of a scene, typically a three-dimensional full-size and miniature models. So there are two examples of dioramas, which are the miniature and the full-size. So miniature dioramas are typically a much smaller and use scale models and landscaping to create historical or fictional scenes, while the full-size dioramas are modern dioramas may be seen in most major natural history museums. So dioramas, it will make the classroom to be creative and innovative. It is a fun way to build an exciting scene in a small dwelled space. So second is the nature table. Nature table is a table that contains objects and or scenes related to the current season or upcoming festival or a symbol of an ecosystem. So why is nature table important, especially to our classroom? It allows us teachers to create a natural sensory experience for the children at home or in the classroom, because playing with objects from nature provides excellent input for the healthy development of a child's sensory system. The third one is the writing board. A writing board can display information written with chalkboard or blackboard, or special pens, whiteboard. Visual learning is particularly important in primary classrooms because while writing information and ideas on a writing board or whiteboard, it frees students from having to remember important informations. And displaying important informations helps students see and read what you have written, as well as it gives students time to copy what you have written. The fourth one is the flip chart. It is a large tablet or pad of paper, usually on a tripod or stand. Flip charts in a classroom can be used to explain a topic, have a question and answer sessions with students, and also it's easier for them to remember the concepts they have just learned. The fifth one is the zigzag board. It is a multi-board of 3 or 4 rectangular boards. They are joined together along the sides by hinges so that they can be easily folded up and carried. So there are some advantages of using zigzag board. The first one is it uses multiple activities in one, and the second advantage is it presents more than one subject in one activity. The sixth one is the wall display. A wall display is a collection of many different types of items and materials put up on a wall to make an interesting and informative display. Wall display helps students keep track of what they have learned and help them make connections and develop coherency between ideas, tasks, and the lessons. And the last one is group and pool display board. This board consists of two parallel horizontal poles tied loosely together with group. Visual aids such as posters can be pinned on the roof. So this kind of display board is invaluable where there are few solid walls for displaying information. The main advantage of teaching with display boards is that it helps in visual learning, which helps the children remember what they have learned for a long period of time.
So let's proceed to the guidelines when designing conventional instructional materials. So yes, there are guidelines that we need to follow in order to create a creative conventional instructional materials. First is unity. So when we say unity, it is the quality or state of being one. So we should only use one idea for each visual aid. Second is simplicity. It means the quality or condition of being easy to understand or do. In this guideline, we should make an idea that is just simple and easy to recall because it won't just waste your time, but also students will also learn something from the topic. And also avoid cluttering a visual with too many words, numbers, or graphics so the audience will be able to grasp the concept in 10 to 15 seconds. Third is legibility. So legibility or legible is the quality of being clear enough to read. So when we create a conventional instructional materials, make letters big and readable to the audience and don't make a letter that is too small or kind of difficult to see. Fourth is consistency or consistent. It means acting or done in the same way over time. So use the same type, style, and art style upon making instructional materials. Next is clarity. So clarity or clear is also the same as legibility or legible. It is the state of being clear and transparent to the eye. So we need to avoid type that is too small to read and also avoid all caps. Last is quality. So when we say quality, it is the totality of features and characteristics of a product. So we should make our instructional materials neat and professional so that it would be good in the eyes of the audience. And that was all the 6 guidelines when designing conventional instructional materials. And also, that would be all about development and use of non-digital or conventional materials.